Part of lesson 1 is called line segments, and the other part of lesson 1 was adding and subtracting fractions, which was a review. Let's talk a little bit about line segments. Now, in this diagram, notice I have points A, B, and C, and in the directions it says the distance from A to C, from the length of A to C, this whole length is 10 1/7. It also says that from A to B is 4 3/7. And finally, they want us to find the length of BC. So, if I look at this, since I know the length of the whole thing, and I'm going to erase this so I have a little bit more room here to do to show you how we will do this. We know the length of the whole thing, and if I take away 4 3/7, what's left over is the length of BC. So I'm going to take 10 1/7, and we're going to subtract 4 3/7. I have a common denominator, so I don't need to do anything else with that. But what I do need to do is I cannot take 3 away from only 1. So I borrow, that leaves 9, you always borrow 1, add the two numbers with a fraction next to it. 7 and 1 is 8, so I replace the top number with 8. Now I can subtract. 8 minus 3 is 5, over the common denominator is 7, and 9 minus 4 is 5. So the length of BC is 5 5/7. Now I bet if you add 5 5/7 plus 4 3/7 and check this, you would get the length of the whole thing. So in example 1, to find, since we were given the length of the whole thing, that's an indication that we will subtract to find the missing part. Let's take a look at example 2. Now in example 2, from A to B is 7 1/8. From B to C is 5 2/7. Now they want us to find the length of the whole thing. Since we weren't given the length of the whole thing, this is an indication then that we're going to add to find the length of the whole thing. So I'm going to take 7 1/8 plus 5 2/7, find a common denominator, which is going to be 56. Let's see, 8 times what is 56? 7, so I take the top times 7. 7 times 8, so take the top times 8, 16, right? Now add those together. So over 56, I get 4, 5, 6, 7, 23, and 7 and 5 is 12. Now, check this. Let's make sure the fraction part is in lowest terms. And remember, when we check it, you got to ask yourself, can I divide both the top and the bottom by 2, by 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10? And I cannot divide both those by any of those numbers. So my answer is 12 and 23, 56. All right, the last example I have, example 3. All right, now here, the whole length, the whole thing is 42 1/7. So now, since we're given the length of the whole thing, automatically I'm kind of thinking, all right, we're going to subtract to find this answer. Well, let's make sure. From E to F is 24 2/7. We want to find from D to E, this length. So we're going to subtract. So take the 42 1/7 minus the 24 2/7. Again, I cannot take 2 away from only 1. I borrow. Add the 7 and the 1 together, which is 8. Replace the top number with 8. Now I can subtract. Let's calculate our whole numbers here. 7 and 1. Okay. So 17 6/7 then is the length from D to E. So if you wanted to check that, 17 6/7 plus 24 2/7 would give us the 42 1/7. And I'm just kind of glancing here to make sure I did my subtraction right. It looks like we're okay. All right, so this topic, finishing off lesson 1, is called line segments.